I want to talk about just the NBA draft. And I sort of talked about this earlier when I went on my James Jones, Matt Ishbia draft rant and all that. But I really believe this. First off, the most important thing, a lot of people may not know this because, again, it's not like this is the Victor Wemby draft. It's not like this is like Michael Jordan getting drafted or something like that. Like it's okay if you don't know when the NBA draft is, but it's funny because I actually put this in my notes. The NBA draft is Wednesday, June 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern time on ABC and ESPN if you guys have those channels. Now you're probably like, okay, Suns Geek, like who cares? That's just when the draft is. Well, guess what, you guys? For the first time in NBA history, the draft is now 2 days. And look, I am not a hot take channel. I try not to do hot takes. I try my best to stay away from clickbait. This is where I'll get a little hot take, if you will. You know what, you guys? I actually like the fact that the draft is now 2 days. I like it. Maybe I'm an optimist. Maybe I'm crazy. I like it. And here's why. First off, before I expand on those thoughts, day 2 of the NBA draft for the first time in NBA history will be in the afternoon, June 27th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, I read a quote from Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press. He made a good point. He pointed out that last year's draft was almost 5 hours and, quote, didn't end until approximately 12:45 a.m. Eastern time. 5 hours, y'all. 5 hours. And that has been for as long as I can remember that the draft runs late into the night. They have never, well, I mean, like, at least televised drafts. They've never had a draft that has been like, at least if I can't remember, but from what I remember, at least the last couple decades, the draft has only been 2 rounds all on the same night. For the first time in history, they're doing it 2 separate nights. Even if like back in the day, like way, way long ago, if it was like round 4, round 5, it was all on the same night, I believe. Someone fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So for the first time ever, they are doing the draft on 2 separate nights. Here's why I like it. Put yourself, at least that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to put myself in the GM, owner's shoes. I'm going to put myself in the assistant GMs and all the, I call it the war room. Like if you guys are big football fans, the war room, I'm going to put myself in those shoes. You now have pretty much an extra day, like 12 hours, almost 20 hours, or whatever it is. You have so much extra time to, first off, see what happens in day 1 of the draft. Like, let's keep it on the Suns for a minute. Will the Suns trade their 22nd overall pick? Do the Suns trade another player? We'll see how that shakes out. What do the Atlanta Hawks do since they're drafting number 1 overall? Do they trade Trae Young or do they trade DeJounte Murray? Do they trade player X? What do, like, I don't know, the OKC Thunder do with their millions of draft picks that they have? By the way, the Thunder have the 12th pick, by the way, and they were one of the best teams in the league and made the second round of the playoffs. That's nuts. Anyways, can I do my terrible Michael Keaton impression from the 1989 Batman? You guys ready for this? You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Okay, sorry. Anyways. So that's why I think it's important. And I think that's where I get a little hot takey here, saying that I like how the NBA has finally done 2 days of the draft instead of 1. Because if we go back putting our GM shoes on, these GMs and the war room and all these other players, they now have an extra day to really think, man, should we draft this player or should we trade the pick? You know what I mean? that could really, like, for better or worse, could really like impact certain moves and certain teams going forward. And I like that. And like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, no one's going to watch the second round. And I understand that. Like, who knows? Day one's ratings could go way up. You know, the first round could get tons of views, even if it is a weak draft class. I'm sure it's going to get tons of ratings, tons of views or whatever. Day two could go. Now, look, I don't think the NBA was anticipating this. And no, I'm not talking politics here, but I think there's a presidential debate that night. I don't think the NBA was anticipating that. They can't control that. That's not their fault. So, you know, obviously with that going on, and I think that's why day two starts very early. Now, just so we are confirming here, day two starts at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I think that's my time, like 3 or 2 o'clock. I'm sure the presidential debate is later in that night. So they probably are like, hey, we got to wrap this up. Yeah. But I like it, y'all. I think it's a good move. I would like to see them do it again next year, even if the ratings for day two aren't great. Maybe I'm alone on that. I don't know how others feel about it. I don't know how you feel about it, but I welcome it. Heck, maybe in the future do 3 days. I know that sounds crazy, but I also took notes on that too. I was reading this on Bleacher Report. Quote, by comparison, the NFL draft is held across 3 different days, with the first round on a Thursday, second and third rounds on a Friday, and fourth through seventh rounds on a Saturday. I know if you guys are big football fans, which I know a lot of you guys are, you guys know what I'm talking about. And even though I know nothing about football, I've always liked how they've done, you know, the draft like 3-4 days or whatever. So we'll see, y'all. I like it. I think the NBA draft, them going 2 days is good. So just to recap the days, if you guys don't know, the draft is June 26th, round 1, picks 1 through 30, June 26th, and I believe it starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time on ABC and ESPN. Second round in the afternoon, Thursday, June 27th, 4 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. And quick programming note, just so you guys know, if you've made it this far into the live show, if you've made it this far in the rewatch or re-listen, I will be live both of those days. I'll be live reacting to every pick, talking draft, talking Suns basketball, talking about whatever. Because if you guys didn't know this does go back to the Suns. The Suns cannot trade the 22nd overall pick until draft day. So if you're just tuning in, if you're just listening in, I'll repeat it for you guys. The Suns cannot trade the 22nd overall pick until draft day, which is why I went on that big rant earlier about why should I waste my time doing draft homework when on draft day we could all wake up and the pick could be traded. I don't know. So I want to move on here. Should we get to the silly stuff? Before we get to the silly stuff, which is sort of draft related, I kind of wanted to do these draft conversations and this draft talk because I kind of want it to be like a quote series on this channel, kind of. The draft is in 2 weeks. And I am anticipating, I am hoping, planning on doing a lot more live shows throughout these next 2 weeks. And a lot of it is going to be draft talk. And I will do my absolute best to try to get as much knowledge in this brain about the Suns draft class and potential targets. And we will do shows on that. Maybe I'll get some people on here that know a lot more than I do. But really, I just want to just keep talking about the draft class. You know what I mean? So that will be in future shows.